Hello and welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Shit is gonna hit the fan. Do you have any doubts? What are you doing to prepare? Really, what are you doing? Are you rotating your food stock? Are you adding to it? Are you thinking you need to move? Are you expecting more social chaos? What does your plan have to do with? And I recommend looking at things as things develop. We've got some interesting developments here in the land of La La. It used to be that La La Land was LA, Los Angeles, out in California. Those wacky Californians, you're crazy. You guys are crazy out there, right? It is incredible. This video, I want to be important, but I'm in a good mood. So I want to have some laughs with you while we talk about all the stupid that's going on. So, I've got a couple different topics I want to cover. Check down below for links to different articles if you wish. But I want to start by saying, everything is politicized. Race, religion, politics is politicized heavily. Right? Everything is politicized now to an alarming degree. And if you were to just read mainstream news, you might believe that Donald Trump was an evil bastard, right? And that white people are bad just because they're white. And that history is in need of revision. And that common sense and the ability to do math, that's right, the ability to do math is not necessary anymore. You can just make up whatever numbers you want because math is racist and we don't have to worry about money anymore. So as soon as the president and Congress pass a law that says I can bounce checks all day and still use as many checks to buy as many things as I want, until then, I'm going to make math a priority in my life. But I can't wait for the day when I can write checks for that brand new Ferrari I've been looking at. And there's a really nice, 1,000-acre estate down in New Zealand that I want to buy. I'm just one check away from buying all the things I want with all this free money. Anyways, I got a little bit of funny news. Just to talk about this, but before I go, I found out from my younger son yesterday that he met Tommy Lee Jones up in Klamath Falls, Oregon. He said a couple of years ago. He never told me. I don't know why he didn't tell me. There was a line, I guess, to get into the bathroom, and there was an old guy in front of my kid. He says the old guy turned around and looked at him and said, "Do you need to go really bad?" Something like that. And Luke said, "Yeah, I do." And so Tommy Lee Jones let Lucas go to the bathroom. All right, I thought that was funny. But Luke told me that while I was watching the movie Executive Decision. Executive Decision, which is a movie about an airline hijacking by Islamic terrorists who want to detonate nerve gas over D.C. using the airplane as a sort of poor man's atomic device, weapon of mass destruction. And I had the TV set on subtitles. And I've seen the movie in the past. It's actually a good movie. It's got Kurt Russell, Halle Berry, for all you guys that like Halle Berry. It also had Steven Seagal, who was good enough to die about a third of the way into the movie. And he did a great job in the role. Very macho and Steven Seagalish, but he got himself whacked pretty quick. Anyways, I noticed that in the subtitles, I don't sit down and watch a movie and bite my nails and pay 100% attention. I'm surfing through news stories and, this is over the weekend. And I heard words that weren't quite right. I was like, wait, did they just dub something over? They dubbed the word God in place of Allah. In place of the word Islam, they substituted the name of the main terrorist, Jaffa, or Jaffa. And they took out Allah Akbar, which is God is great, which is what terrorists shout when they go to kill everybody. They dubbed those out, but the subtitles still had the original in. They didn't correct the subtitles, which was really interesting. But it just lets us know that everything is politicized, even old Hollywood movies from over 20 years ago. Nothing true can be left. I mentioned education and revisionism. We've got entertainment revisionism. Just like they added a laser blast of Greedo, the bounty hunter in Star Wars, the first one from 1977, so that it looked like Han Solo didn't kill him in cold blood, but rather responded to being shot at. I mean, what the fuck? Okay, moving on, right? Moving on. Everything is politicized, and there are shit hits the fan components to it. One example is this demand, which has, I don't think, anything to do with Ukraine, but it's an ongoing legal battle with Trump over his taxes. Does he have to give his taxes to Congress? Well, he lost a court decision. Now I think he's lost an appeals decision. And they're saying, yes, you have to produce. You must produce upon the request your taxes. And I might ask the question, well, why didn't Obama produce a birth certificate? Which is actually a prerequisite to be a president. You must be a natural-born American. Well, that was a big no, met by a no, and when they finally released it, it was an obvious forgery. Producing a forged document that is a requirement, like when you go get a driver's license, you must produce a birth certificate, a legitimate actual birth certificate. And to produce one that is a fraud is perjury, and it's a crime punishable by law. Yet Obama apparently has a driver's license with a perjurously, fraudulently produced birth certificate. But no, we can't see that. We can't charge him with anything. We can't make it, right? You don't have to worry about it. Obama, you're cool. Because you're a articulate, cool black guy, right? Remember us being sold on that, well, he's cool and articulate and black. I'm like, I don't care what color he is. I don't care how articulate he is. What does he know about the Constitution? Will he defend it and uphold it, right? I don't care about that other stuff. Right? It's just stupid. Anyways, now Trump is probably going to appeal to the Supreme Court. I don't care whether they say yes or no. I really don't give a shit at this point. What's important to me at this point is, does Trump have to respond to the current ruling and comply with the subpoena from Congress? Under normal circumstances, you might say, everything, yeah, of course, show it. Well, I'm sure since he's going to appeal immediately, he won't. But I have to ask the question. The FBI was required by law to produce, under Comey, McCabe, and Ruby Rod Rosenstein, to produce documents for an investigation into the 2016 election tampering by our own Federal Bureau of Investigation. And they refused for months and months and months and months and months to produce the documents that aren't personal. Trump's trying to keep his personal, private information out of the hands of Congress, who is only going to use it for political purposes. In other words, to try and smear him or try and get people to hate him because he's a billionaire. I know he's a billionaire. I don't give a shit how much money he has. I don't care how much money he's making. What I care about is he going to obey the Constitution? Is he going to try and limit government infringements on my rights and maybe even turn some of those infringements that have occurred back around? But everything's politicized. Politicized. This is incredible. I've got an article here from moneymaven.io, link below. Quote of the headline is, Chicago headed for insolvency. For those of you who don't know what that means, it means flat ass broke. Don't have the casha, right? Well, Congress doesn't need cash in D.C. Why should Chicago? Just go into the front door of the bank, write a check for $10 million. Tell them not to cash it, but put it on deposit and then loan out $100 million out the back door. Because that's how banks work after all. But don't worry about that, right? Chicago's headed for insolvency. Get the hell out now. Right? This is incredible. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot and the teachers union have reached agreement. A deal sure to send Chicago over the cliff. What are we talking about here? There's contract deals here. For the Teachers Association, the teachers in Chicago, they want more. They want a 16% raise. They want lower insurance copays. They want caps, job protection, this, they want that. There's 11 different items here. So the recommendation from the Wall Street Journal, which is a pretty politicized organization, news organization, they commented, get the hell out, right? The Wall Street Journal says, quote, Michelle Obama the other day complained that white people were leaving the city to escape minorities who are moving in. No, no, they're fleeing Chicago's high taxes and lousy schools, and so are minorities. If you've got the money, thank you, Wall Street Journal, for commenting in a political way on a political thing, right? Again, it's an op-ed. I do op-ed. I give you my opinion. That's what we're here for, is to learn from each other's opinions. Have some fun, have a few laughs, but definitely point out how everything is politicized. Right? Why did Michelle Obama have to get involved in this? Well, they're trying to blame the lower tax revenue and the need to raise taxes. They're trying to explain away white flight was an old name for it by saying it's white people trying to get away from minorities. Why did they use race to politicize people trying to save their lives? I know of people in Chicago and Illinois. I personally know them. They want to get the hell out of there. It is a financial and wealth death trap. And, you know, according to the Wall Street Journal, everyone's leaving, white and people of color or black or brown or whatever color you want to talk about, minorities, right? In fact, I listened to President Trump, his talk outside on the White House lawn, one of those ad hoc, just going to step in front of the camera and just start ripping on the press, which I appreciated. You know, he's calling people who are black, he's calling them African Americans. And I don't know what to refer to people as anymore. I thought that was an insult. They're not Africans. They're Americans. They're multi-generationally here in America. Why do we have to, do you call me a white European? I mean, I make jokes about Germans and Swedes and Norwegians and Icelandics and Danes, you know, basically my genetic makeup, because it's funny. Right? I don't care what you call me or think of me. I just don't care. It's, you know, but why do we have to refer to them as anything? Why, you know, minorities, you know, it's this idea that because someone's a minority, they're being, you know, they're being hurt, they're being held down. And I understand that, yeah, there's a lot of beat down issues for everybody in this country, from taxes to police batons to the DMV and everything that apparently the Chicago public schools have gotten straightened out with their contract, right? It's incredible. But the idea, everything is politicized. But people are getting the hell out. People are now starting to GTFO. They want to, if they can afford it. Whether you're white or a minority in Chicago, according to the Wall Street Journal, they want to get the fuck out, right? And they say get the hell out because they're the Wall Street Journal. But everything's politicized. Thank you, Michelle Obama, for explaining to everybody how it's racist to try and get away from a city that is taxing people to death. What do I mean by to death? Am I exaggerating grossly? Well, I'm exaggerating, but I wouldn't say grossly. I bet there's people that are going to freeze to death in Chicago this winter because they can't afford heat. I bet it's going to happen. At least one. I bet it happens to at least one person who can't afford their heat. Would be nice if that city was prospering and everyone was getting more money instead of less money. Anyways, great article. Go ahead and check it out, right? The problem is pensions. Right? It used to be that California was the most ridiculous state, but there's so many that want to compete with it. So many states that politicize everything. And now it's coming back and forth. It's good to see the president punching back, fighting back. I mean, he goes right after the media and calls them fake news to their face and calls them a fraud to their face. And frankly, I would like to hear him call them even worse names right to their face. After what they've allowed to be done to a legitimate function that was almost enshrined in the Constitution. Actually, it was freedom of the press. But we don't have a free press anymore. We have a controlled, politicized press. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that the Wall Street Journal presented another side to this, which is that Michelle Obama, right, basically lied to everybody or presented something in a political manner to race shame people, short of calling them racist. She does everything she can, right? Thanks, Michael. Right? Why don't you get your bulge fixed? Why don't you work on your tuck? Everything's politicized. And speaking of that, let's get to something that unlike Trump's taxes, let's talk about something that is very serious. The whistleblower. That's what Trump came to the microphones to and got mainly grilled about, and he was well prepared to deal with it. He's gone on the attack, and I totally approve. Everything is politicized, and there is a consequence for that, and I want to try and get to that before we're done here. Quote, what I said on the phone call with the Ukrainian president is perfectly stated. There is no reason to call witnesses to analyze my words and meaning. This is just another Democrat hoax that I have to live with from the day I got elected and before. Disgraceful. The whistleblower gave false information and dealt with corrupt politician Schiff. He must be brought forward to testify. Written answers not acceptable. Where is the second whistleblower? He disappeared after I released the transcript. Does he even exist? Where is the informant? Khan. Right? There's a response to this in the article. Right? And then Don Bongino. I believe he was a Secret Service, since retired or resigned from that position. He's quoted as saying, there is no whistleblower. There is someone with an agenda against Donald Trump. What he was blowing the whistle on didn't happen. We have the transcript of the call. This is all a farce, and no Republican should forget that. I think he should be, when he says no Republican, I think he means politicians as well as the voting public. Everything is politicized. The president is a political figure, and he should be allowed to talk to someone. But if anyone can read into what is being done, anything they want, and claiming their feelings were hurt or they were scared or shocked, we're getting to a point and a place now where even politicians need safe space. Even within the White House itself, we need little social safe spaces so people don't have to hear things that might come off as offensive to them because of their politicization of everything in their life. The country is coming apart at the seams. The risk, the upshot to shit it's the fan with this is everyone is acting offended. Everybody over everything, and it's all about race and agenda and this and that. But I don't hear President Trump calling for the impeachment of anyone. I hear him responding sometimes angrily at what I consider to be false accusations. It's asinine. And he's right. Since before he was elected, he's been being attacked by these dupes, and everything is politicized. Right? The decision not to investigate further and then seek the prosecution of Hillary Clinton for everything she did, that was politicized, and that's why it was allowed. You and I know that if we got a speeding ticket and we didn't go to court and didn't pay our fine, a bench warrant would be issued. For a speeding ticket, you would be arrested the next time the police caught you. But Hillary Clinton can commit felonies in front of God and the world, and she won't be prosecuted for no other reason than it's politically expedient and advisable if you're a business partner or confederate of hers. Everything is politicized. As a result, as the tensions raise, as the stakes get higher, as the economy comes down, as everyone becomes such a social whiner. Like I said, I don't care what color you call me or what names you call me, but you can't call anyone else anything, right? But you can be castigated by anyone on the left just for being what you are, or even taking self-preservation actions like leaving the city of Chicago. that becomes a racial smear against you and a racial smear against everyone. It's politicizing, right? People trying to save themselves from destructive, confiscatory government policies, while they reward themselves with bigger paychecks, fatter pensions, and bigger, deeper, longer, grandeur promises. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, right? The attorneys admit this whistleblower had contacts with other presidential candidates because of the political firestorm he's caused. Yeah, he should be subpoenaed. He should be forced to produce himself. You're going to habeas corpus his own ass right there into the Congress and explain himself and subject himself to what? Examination. That is, questions. He started a political mess or enjoined it, and then he should be caused to explain it. I bet if I said something like, oh yeah, Hillary Clinton has committed felonies, and if Congress said, John, what are you talking about? You're making a strong allegation there. We want you to come to Congress and explain yourself. Right? I'd have to do that. Or I would be arrested for contempt. And I'd show up and I'd say, well, don't take my word for it. Take James Comey's word for it. And then present all the evidence and have just a grand old time there. It would be great to put on sunglasses, or rather, vision glasses with pictures of open eyes on them, and just sit back with my eyes shut and not pay attention to any of the Democrats. And when they ask a question and someone wakes me up, I could say, could you repeat the question, please? Because you know they're going to be nothing but 5 minutes of long-winded accusations and bullshit, right? It would be just absolutely fabulous to wear a Groucho Marx set of goggles with a fake nose and mustache, right? Just to fuck with those people. This entire system is just off the hook ridiculous, folks. Everything is politicized to an enormous length and degree, but there are consequences for everything. When everything becomes an emergency and everything is an impeachable offense, and nobody gets in trouble for actual crimes, a sense of injustice, a sense of the scales of justice being out of balance, where everything Trump has done is an impeachable criminal offense with no evidence, and everything they've done where we have the evidence is not a crime. See, the people, not preppers, but the people out here understand justice. We get a ticket, we get fined hundreds of dollars. That affects us. If we don't pay it, we go to jail. That affects us. You go to jail, you can't pay your mortgage or your rent, you lose your job. That affects us. Sense of injustice, right? Financial injustice, or monetary injustice, where the banks get bailed out, but we don't. Where our money can now be confiscated by banks to pay their bills and their bad debts, their bad investments. Where's the justice? All right, this idea that only minorities get hurt by cops. There's a sense of racial injustice there, because all races, whether you're white or whatever color, it doesn't matter. There is injustice out there. And there's a lot of people getting their names and their reputations and their professions slandered, or talked bad about, I should say, because I don't think you can slander anymore. They get talked poorly about. It hurts the reputation, our faith in our system. And this is one of the big components that's causing and will cause shit to hit the fan in a very big way. It's a very polarizing system we have now. It's a right, left, red, blue, reality, no reality system. And what you've got to do and what I've got to do is continue to keep our spirits up, but understand the reality that's going on. Be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. Having all that together is critical. It's critical at this point. You know, I'm not saying that shit is going to hit the fan instantly, but it can. I don't want to scare everyone by saying volcano. I don't want to scare everyone by saying, anything bad, right? I don't want to scare anyone, but we do need to be prepared. ahead of time so that when things do go bad, we can stay calmer. We can keep a sense of reality about ourselves and not exist now in a sense of panic or when shit hits the fan in a sense of panic. And that's why I try and talk about difficult subjects, because shit hitting the fan is going to be full of difficult scenarios. And being informed on a daily basis or a semi-daily basis or a couple of, at least once a week with the weekly wrap-up, keeping informed keeps us from being surprised, caught off guard, with a lack of understanding. We don't want any of that for ourselves. We want to be on our guard, be prepared, and have a full understanding of what's going on to incorporate that in our plan so that we can be ready if something bad happens. And I want to thank you guys for supporting the channel. A-OK in my book are you. You have a great day. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I'll talk to you very, very soon. Semper Fi, always faithful, and Godspeed.